All right. Greetings, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Reaching you from the stable of Eco Innovation Center. My name is Antonia Anyawu, Programs and Learning Officer at Eco Innovation Center, and it's always a pleasure to be on call and to be in this insightful webinars where we stand to learn from amazing speakers who don't just speak over our heads, right? But people who have proven and tested all that they will share with us, sharing with us from their wealth of knowledge and experience. And today is going to be exciting as always. This is the third sequel of the MarkHack 3.0 Pre-Conversation live event. We had the pilot to this MarkHack event 3 weeks ago, where we spoke about AI and marketing, and we're joined by seasoned speaker, Mr. Henry, and also Mr. Nathan. And then last week, it was such an honor to host three amazing panelists, the person of Tolulope. We also had on call Davy Zoe, like he likes to be called. And then, of course, Emmanuel, where they spoke to us about blockchain being more than cryptocurrency. And today we're in for something fantastic. So before I proceed with the introduction to today's webinar, you know how we do it here, right? So kindly reach out to your friends. Just send the link out. We're live streaming on Zoom right now. So you can just send the Zoom link to your friends, to your contacts. Let them join in, right? We're talking about MarkHack, right? Hacking, marketing, and media with technology. And today, as always, I have with me the remarkable Mr. Luatosin Olokobi. Mr. Tosin, would you like to say hi before I proceed?
Hi, Antonia. Thank you so much for having me on this session as a host. I'm so glad to actually be a host with you for the third edition for this MarkHack Pre-Conversation. And I'm super excited about the insight that we are looking forward to this evening. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Same here, Mr. Tosin. Today, we're going to be talking about cutting edge creativity, focusing on how emerging tech is transforming marketing, right? And going to be passing the ball over to Mr. Tosin, who's going to be telling us a little more about today's topic, giving us like a prelude before introducing our amazing speaker. And it's such an amazing honor to have you both on call. So I'll be passing the mic over to Mr. Tosin right now.
I'm just going to be doing that very quickly because I know that we have a lot of things to actually talk about today. And confirm that can you hear me? Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Can you hear me? All right.
Yep.
The general theme for this year, MarkHack, which is the 3.0 edition, is Beyond Limit. That is, we are looking at actually stretching beyond the limit of the marketing and media industry. And we are actually exploring the topic, unleashing creativity with emerging tech. And so today, we have two great panelists in our midst today who will be helping us do justice to the topic before us. And the topic we'll be looking at today is a cutting-edge creativity. We'll be exploring how emerging tech is actually transforming the marketing industry. And so just permit me to give a brief of what we are looking at today. In today's rapidly evolving digital era, technologies in reshaping the marketing and media industry at an unprecedented pace, because we have seen it and a lot of things are really happening. We have seen how AI is helping personalization in marketing. We have seen that even beyond the cryptocurrency, the blockchain could actually do a lot of things in the marketing space. We have talked about a lot of things. And so we don't want to be left behind. We don't want to be rigid. We don't want to be in isolation. We also want to exploit how this emerging tech, you talk about VR, you talk about AR, you talk about some other tech, how they are actually reforming the marketing industry and the media industry. And we actually have that according to it was reported that there was an emphasis on you personalize your marketing strategy at all. There is actually potential increase of about 40% increase in the revenue growth. And so we'll be looking at on how they'll be helping us, giving their own insight, their own understanding, sharing their knowledge on how emerging tech can help transform the marketing and media industry. And so I'll be giving the floor to Antonia so that we can actually go into the session right away, and we'll be introducing our panelists for this session. And I want to say a big shout out to everyone on this call today and every one of us to see how we can drive this conversation to actually make actually maximize all the insight and information that will be released this evening. Thank you, Antonia.
Thank you, Mr. Toulson. I'll be going right on with the introduction of our panelists. Like I said, during the introduction to today's webinar, we have two amazing speakers who are going to be sharing in us from their wealth of experience, right? People who have tasted the waters. And in no particular order, I'm going to be starting with Mr. Brian. Mr. Brian, and I'm going to just be reading his remarkable bio to us. Brian is a seasoned communicator, a storyteller, and a trader. He transitioned into the crypto world after co-founding an advertising agency. His experience in journalism and trading equips him with a deep understanding of market communication. He is founder of 21M Bulls, a community that comprises professionals worldwide, predominantly Latin Americans, working as journalists, developers, researchers, designers, lawyers, and numerous other crypto advocates. Currently leading marketing efforts at Metapool, a company focused on emerging markets, Brian's role aligns with his mission to drive blockchain adoption. Additionally, he has worked with Azomland, a Latin American metaverse. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Brian Becerra. I hope I did justice to that name, who is the founder of 21M Bulls. Brian, it's such an amazing honor to have you on call today. And I must say, your digital identity is really unique. Would you like to talk to our audience, address our audience, and just share with us what you have in mind, just the thoughts of and your anticipation of today's webinar? Over to you, Brian.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for this invitation. It's really, I'm really glad to exchange knowledge, and also because so different regions, but I think we have a lot of similar things. I just came from a trip from Honduras, and it's a place that is very far from my place. I'm on Peru, by the way. I'm from Peru, but I have been traveling a lot to discover how these markets are affected and how we can help them. And I found that Africa and Southeast Asia, as well as South America, are pretty similar. And I think we have the amount of knowledge that we could exchange to fight these problems. And well, I'm really glad to stay here, really. And yeah, I saw some questions that are really interesting, and I'm really excited to answer it.
Amazing. Thank you, Brian. Such amazing to have you on call. Yeah. And we're looking forward to you answering our questions and also taking some questions from the participants who can actually, while we're on call, if you have any question, you can just drop it on the chat box from wherever platform you're streaming this event from. So without further Mr. Ilbosa, who is a creative technologist and the founder of Floats XR. I'm going to be reading his bio. Ilbosa Robot is a passionate creative product specialist, exploring the intersection Just a minute, please. Can you confirm if you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, fantastic. I thought there was a network glitch. Okay, so I'll just go on with introducing Mr. Yobosa. Like I said, he is a passionate creative product specialist, exploring the intersection of creativity and technology to create global cultural impact and solve important problems. He has championed innovation through his decade-long background in filmmaking, digital content distribution, integrated marketing, user experience design, and product design. Currently, through Float XR, which he's a founder of, Yabosa is on a mission to unlock the collaborative power of technology by optimizing products, processes, and businesses using mixed reality, immersive tech, and moonshot thinking. Float is a special computing and Excel product lab offering unique technology solutions to forward-thinking brands and businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Mr. Yobosa Rohobat, the founder of Float XR. Mr. Yobosa, it's a pleasure to have you on call. I don't know if you want to share a thing or two. Just share something with us, something on your mind. It's so amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that introduction. And thank you everyone for coming together to have this really interesting and important conversation. But yeah, where do I begin? It's a really interesting outline that we're given. So I'm really keen on diving in and just like talking about some of those things. But beyond that, it's a very exciting timeline that we're existing in right now for Africans, for Nigerians, and just generally everyone because of technology. And specifically for Africans, because for the first time, we're getting innovation at the same time as the rest of the world, right? And this gives us a lot of opportunities and opens a lot of doors that we can explore. So I'm just excited to do my bit to push that conversation forward, and as much as possible, I'll continue to speak about it. Thank you. Looking forward to chatting today, of course.
Thank you so much, Yabusa. You know, one thing I love with this webinar is, like I said, I get to learn from the best, get to speak to the best in the industry. And today is really, really unique and peculiar because both our speakers, although from different geographical parts of the world, are both activists, right? And they're both into marketing and media, which is all what MarkHack is all about, building innovation to build up our marketing and media speak, especially in focus Africa ecosystem. So I'll be giving the floor over to Mr. Tosin, who is going to take us to the next level. Mr. Tosin.
All right. Thank you so much, Antonia, for that wonderful session. And thank you to Brian and Yobusa for that good session. And so we're just going to be going quickly because I know that our audience are viewing us across the globe. So eager this evening to also ask their own question. But then before they ask their question, it would be interesting for us to actually look at this conversation we are actually exploring today. And so I just want to ask Brian, the general theme is we are looking at the emerging tech in marketing and media. But today we are looking at how cutting-edge technology. We have seen that from our previous conversation, AI is one important tool that we can actually explore in the marketing world for personalization. We have heard about how crypto is not just for blockchain, it's not just for the crypto industry alone. We can actually harness this for data and all in the marketing industry. So, Brian, I just want to share in just 1 minute, do you want to just share some insight, just a general insight on what you see the emerging tech doing for the marketing and media industry? Just want to share. So once we share, we just take some insights, then we'll also share from his own angle, from his own point of view. Then we actually go into the panel discussion. Thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. Well, blockchain is a shared immutable ledger that facilitates the process of recording transactions and tracking assets. Just in case somebody here don't know about this technology, And what makes different for communications and marketing blockchain? It basically putting aside the belief to verify. So we are changing the way we think and the way we communicate, because in the past we used to trust some newspaper, some governments, and whatever they say was kind of law. Even our financial system is like the quote in the dollar, it's in God we trust. I also trust in God, but it's not about related to that. You know, the financial system right now, it's like the way it's shaped, it's a false system. It's like nobody trusts in that. I don't know how it's in your country, but I think we have similar thoughts. When I was in Honduras, we had the same thoughts, like the government, maybe it's corruption, maybe it's not doing well the things, and how they can communicate and beat those thoughts. You know, it's pretty hard. So with this technology, we can stop the needing of governments or third parties to tell us what is happening. We could, if we use other technologies like AI along this one, we can automate everything and not wait for reports from governments, have everything on the blockchain and stop discovering that in many countries years later there were frauds or corruption. As I say, the communication evolving, it's like have change on our thoughts about, it's not just about the sender and receiver, it's also about the medium and the way we use. The medium is the message, is a phrase coined by Marshall McLuhan, that it means that the form of a medium becomes embedded in any message it transmits or carries, creating a symbiotic relationship in which the medium influences how the message is perceived. And this is the way the storytelling starts. You know, in blockchain, you can check everything, like all the moves of your clients. For marketing, that's glorious because you can know how much is spent, when was spent. But here's the paradox: you can't know who is the person who is spending that, and that's privacy. But there are other many technical stuff that could be part of this conversation, but could be too extensive. The important thing here is you have access to all the data that you want, but you can also have all the privacy that you require to stay safe. You know, lately I have been listening from scammers with AI changing the voice and also the visuals, and it's crazy. And how we can beat that, a blockchain could be a solution. And also crypto is really social. It's like back to tribalism. How we communicate in crypto, like especially when we do marketing, it's like we can't do ads. I mean, we can, but the people in crypto don't like ads, don't like the traditional mainstream strategies to advertising. They think that that is a scam. So if you think for a second in that, it's like how this industry is changing and shaping the way we think. We can't use any more mainstream media to communicate. Yeah, we can use, but we have to check other ways. Like there's something called airdrops. Airdrops is basically share the value of your tokens. Your tokens could be coins or whatever that is part of your business to your users. So it's basically creators economy, but having a lot of value for the people who is your client. It's basically sharing what you earn. And I love to say that because I work right now in Metapool. Metapool is a liquid staking protocol, this one. And this project basically focuses on emerging markets. And these emerging markets, it's said as the World Bank made this phrase, emerging markets. But emerging markets in crypto, we say frontier markets, because these are the markets that are in the middle of adoption of this technology. And when the adoption comes, everything could be better for everyone. Oh, so Metapool, it's like the evolution of what could be a bank. When you put your money in a bank, the bank uses your money to invest in other things and gives you a small piece of the cake. In Metapool, we give you back all the cake. So all the benefits comes for your community. That's how basically I don't know, might be a bit hard, but that's how the communication influences in the way you shape the business model of your project and in the way you communicate that you are transferring value. Basically, you put that value in the people, and that's how it starts, at least in crypto. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but
All right. Thank you so much, Brian, for actually doing justice to that brief overview of the emerging tech and what we are looking at. And I must actually celebrate your knowledge and how you have shared how emerging tech can actually help the marketing and media industry. And so I'll just give the floor to Yobusa in just 1 and 2 minutes for him to share his own overview of his own thoughts about the marketing and media industry, how emerging tech, integrating this emerging tech can actually help the industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Brian, for also breaking that down. That was really insightful as well. Okay, I think the perspective I want to share today is a different perspective on emerging tech, because when we talk about emerging tech, we tend to jumble a lot of different concepts and technologies together, rightfully so, because like all of these things are obviously emerging, right? Every single day we wake up and something has happened, there's been an upgrade, So I think it makes sense a lot of times to break down exactly what it is you want to, approach when you talk of emerging tech, right? So obviously, Brian has talked about blockchain and a sort of like decentralized nature of doing things. But I want to talk about emerging tech from a perspective of mixed reality, right? And mixed reality is essentially a umbrella terminology for talking about a number of technologies. These technologies function together, but they also work independently apart, right? So one of it is very popularly virtual reality, which is a situation where you put these headsets over your eyes and you get transported into a new reality. We have augmented reality as well, which is a scenario where you're overlaying digital items on top of the real world. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit and how that could be useful. But that's AR, so that's very popular right now because the barrier to entry for that technology is very low. All you need is a smartphone or a tablet rather than going to purchase, those VR headsets. And then we have XR, which people also call mixed reality, which is a convergence of both scenarios where you have both mixed virtual reality and augmented reality, just like the Apple Vision Pro or some other technologically advanced headsets. So that way you have both experiences in one. But even beyond that, there is something that I personally find more interesting, and we tend to call that immersive experiences, right? Immersive experiences are sort of outside the fringe of VR and AR, but they still evoke the same sort of response and feeling and feedback in terms of how people engage with the technology. So some of these things can be described as maybe gamified events, for instance, where maybe you play a little game on your phone, and in exchange for that, you walk through a leaderboard, or maybe in a physical activation where you go into a space and then you have some conversation with an agent or a 3D object, or even a 3D video. So I think the combination of all of these technologies that have been coming together over the last, I'd say 5, 6 years is what we refer to as emerging tech. And the beautiful thing is about these things is that like they are so interoperable in such a way that they can all be connected together to solve problems or to tell stories in new ways. In relation to marketing, I would say the interesting thing that emerging tech gives us right now is the ability to engage with audiences in new ways, right? And this is something that has not changed since the story was invented. Rather, what has changed is the way that we interact with each other. We had the TV, we had newspapers, and right now we are at a point where technology has advanced to such a point where we can move beyond having a two-dimensional experience, and we can be a part of a much larger immersive experience. So I think that's a good thing for marketing because a lot of time the underlying goals is to grab attention and to evoke emotion. Another thing would be the ability to craft new narratives because now we have lots of new platforms as a result of these new technologies, and that gives us the ability to build new things. So I think we'll talk a little bit more, but this is basically the setup of what I would like to chat about today.
All right, thank you so much, Yobusai. That's a very, very great one. Talking about SR, AR, and all, and a massive technology and all. So we're just going to go into the first specific question for this session today, because I know that there are other questions that will come from our audience across the globe today. And so this question is actually going first to Yobusa, Yobot, and I want you to just take your time to answer this question. So with your extensive background spanning filmmaking, digital content distribution, and now that you work in the massive technology with Float SR, how do you see the integration of mixed reality and immersive tech reshaping the storytelling landscape for brands and businesses? Antonia, can I help us drop that question in the chat box? So the question is already there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that question. So, if I understand it correctly, like how does it just generally affect it, right? I would say, and I was sort of already going in that direction. One of the most interesting things, or the most important things I would say is being in control of your own narrative, especially right now where there are lots of privacy concerns, where there's a lot of manipulation in mainstream media. I think now more than ever, marketers, product owners, and people who ship things at scale have to become more conscious about how you have to build out a story where you're not imposing your narrative on, the audience or the viewer or the user. And I think mixed reality gives us a blank canvas for us to build out a model like that in terms of engaging with new audiences. So I would say that's one of the most important things, because now we're able to sort of like blend the physical world with the digital world. And because a lot of our lives are already digital, we're able to create such a seamless experience and build narratives in that way. Another thing is the ability to be highly personalized, right? So you have experiences where, for instance, you have the ability to choose your user, to modify your avatar in a way that feels inclusive to you, in the way that you want to be seen, and you're able to play out, I suppose, like a second life in that sense. I think that's really important, because that gives marketers, gives brands a new way to look at audience behavior, and also gives us new things to look for. So generally, I would say these are the two strongest points. And let me just look through the question again to be sure I'm covering it. Yeah, so those are like the most interesting integrations, right? So making the story more participatory rather than active, right? So you have the user inside the story and participating. We're able to do that with new technology. But I think more importantly as well, like knowledge retention. Because at the end of the day, like you're trying to get your story across, like you want to stick out of the thousands of messages that you're hearing out there. What you're able to do by going one step further and engaging with immersive tech, particularly XR, is you give your audience an unforgettable experience, right? Because I can guarantee you that there's a difference between me handing you a piece of paper with some written information, as opposed to me giving you like maybe a 3D visual that gives you a full understanding of my brand. I think one sticks better, and that's because our brains are wired to comprehend, immersive and virtual things. So I think these are the three most important angles: giving new narratives and giving people control of their stories, knowledge retention, giving users an atmosphere where they can remember things, and being highly personalized. So that's where the integration is happening right now as the technology evolves. I don't know if that
Wow.
answers the question. Please let me know.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much. I know you can actually exhaust all of those things that you have on that question, but those insights are very, very helpful. I love the fact that you say that it will actually help those who are sharing the story not to actually impose their own narrative. And I think that is what is actually happening over time. People trying to tell about something on the audience, and I think that's a very great one. So I'll just go into Brian. We still have some other questions to look at. Brian, with your background in both communication and trading, how do you see blockchain technology transforming the marketing landscape, particularly in terms of transparency and trust building within the industry? Brian, do you want to say something? Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for the question. That's interesting. Honestly, I started in crypto as trader. That's how I started to engage with everything, technology, and understand what it's inside. Then I started to do journalism because I'm a communicator as well, and I have been working in advertising. And I found interesting how something could be so volatile, but also in a good way. And it reminded me the start of .com when everything seemed like a bubble, but was because nobody understood the projection of this technology, as well as ChatGPT. This growth was like no other. It's like no precedence for it. And even when we try to understand, sometimes people with lack of knowledge start to think that Elon Musk like moves the price for a tweet or something like that. But it's because the information not goes to everybody at the same time. So the information in markets, in everything that it's financial, it's gold. And in this special industry, it is so easy to see that impact. So when you start to say how I can promote a project, when this technology, it shows every data, like every buy, every sell, and everything is in blockchain, mostly is the price. The price is a good marketing, and some projects understood that well. That's why it came like to small communities, but with really strong hands for say something, but with high ticket, what we could call high ticket, right? So these communities make what in crypto is called the floor price. They buy really high, and the price stays there because they are not selling. That's how they start to do marketing, and that's how it worked for several NFT collections. NFT collections, it's like my avatar. If you saw the banner of this event, you probably saw my avatar. I made it, and it's my digital identity. It's a remarkable character called Pepe. Pepe, it's like a meme culture. It's a crypto culture. Everybody in the crypto space knows that character. And that's interesting because you can tell the people a lot with only one picture. So if you have Pepe, they know that you know about crypto culture. So they probably can give you a different approach than a person that is on suit, you know? In the traditional markets, when you are on suit, it's okay, it's great, you are serious. But in crypto, if you are like that, you are similar to a banker. So a lot of symbols, a lot of symbolism on this crypto space that you must understand. It's like a subculture that is emerging. And what is really interesting is that a piece of art could be a philosophical movement. It's like there's an NFT collection called Loser, and everybody is wearing a hood that says Loser, and also a cap and everything. And it goes against your principles, you know, because could be embarrassing, but they call themselves losers because the only way to get better is to lose. So I found that, wow, that's really great marketing. And that was how they start their communities. And there are several stories like this, and how it impacted price because they make culture. The culture, it's like you buy not just an asset, you buy also a community, a big part or something. It reminds me a lot when the artistic movements start in the age of lights, or I don't know how it's translated to the language, but it started in Paris. So a lot of different artistic movements started. So the same is happening with crypto. So, and this impact in financial markets, it's crazy because if you think the millionaires, how they save their value, basically they buy Picassos or Da Vinci's because the tax reduce is really great, and also the appreciation of the art it's awesome. So these kind of assets and the way you can marketing, it's crazy. It has like no boundaries. It really, I think it's in discovery because a lot of people is buying because their emotions, and we in marketing know that perfectly. And what drives emotion? Uh, Basically, green candles like great prices and great culture. So a lot of this marketing it's also related to the price. So when you are in this way, like to communicate or make your story tell, you must understand in which phase of the market you are, because the strategies like memes or like pricing, whatever, not works in something that we call bear market. Bear market is when the market is not in great conditions, when people is afraid to buy anything, and when inflation goes high. So when it's bull market, everybody wants to buy everything because they think everything is going to be well or better. So as marketer in crypto, you have to fight against those two narratives and understand in which phase we are. If you don't understand that, you basically depend on news, and the news always came late. And I can relate you that as crypto news writer and also as trader. So understand the insights of the market will give you a true hedge against every other marketer in this blockchain world. And also, I would say on almost everything, because everything is like gathering and everything is turning kind of financial. Everything is getting their own economy. Even VR, I worked for Awesome Land as well, and they are a metaverse, and people get excited not just for the experience, also for what they will get. The new user, it's more complex. They want reward for their time. So the user is evolving, and we must understand how we can benefit our user as we get the benefit, not just we, it's together. So it's a new culture, I would say.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for that. It was so much in just a short time. It was so much in just a short time. So for everybody that was listening, I'm going to be sharing Brian's digital identity photograph. Can you see it? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so amazing, right? And I'm sharing this because of what Brian said when he was answering his question about liberty, the freedom that this brings to our economy, right? And marketing and media. And then also, if I remember correctly, Yabus also made reference to this when he was answering his question. And he spoke about personalization and use of avatars, right? Because I'm just going to be stopping my screen. It's a nice one. I think you called it Peppo, right?
So Pepe, and I would like
Okay,
to add,
Pepe.
yeah, and I would like to add that these digital identities makes people more confident. I honestly, in crypto, there's a lot of nerds. There's a lot of people that really shy and don't like to show themselves. I include myself as nerd, honestly. I'm really nerd. I have been nerd on school as well. I love read and get more knowledge. And these kind of people, especially when are coders or developers, they really don't like to show themselves. And I know a lot of people that I only saw these profile pictures, like could be an animal, could be anything, but
Yeah.
on that way, you know people, but what they made and how they communicate,
Yeah.
how they look,
So
and
it gives them like liberty of expression, gives them a liberty to express themselves, and which boosts creativity, right? So yeah, thank you so much, Brian. And thank you for your avatar. It actually lit up the room when you sent it to us. It was really amazing and cute. And everybody was just like, wow, this different, this nice. so unique. And Mr. Tilson, it's just, I was sitting down and trying to get as much as I could from the set of questions you asked our panelists, and it was so much. And I'm just so grateful once more for this webinar, right? Because where else do you get to learn from such individuals? And I like the way they're giving definition to emerging technology. We see Brian focusing strongly on cryptocurrency and blockchain, right? Which is his aspect of marketing and media, even though he has background in journalism and all of that. And then we see Iobosa also laying strong emphasis and defining emerging technology based on his scope, which he was talking to us about extended reality. He was talking to us about virtual reality, right? XR and all of that. So it's really amazing. And then it just shows that this realm is limitless. It goes as far as you can perceive, right? There's no limitation. And that's what the MarkHack 3.0 is all about, beyond limits. And if you haven't registered for the MarkHack, our beautiful social media manager I think she's already dropped the link for those streaming across our platform. So you can just go there, click on the link, and then gain more insights into all MarkHack 3.0 is all about, beyond limits, right? There's so much potential technology has for us. And with that, I'm going to be asking you both our next set of questions. Yabosa, as the founder of Float XR, you are at the forefront of spectral computing and XR products innovation. How do you envision immersive technology like augmented reality and virtual reality revolutionizing traditional marketing strategies to create more engaging and memorable brand experience? You already started giving us a bit insight into this when you're answering your question with Mr. Tosin, when you're telling us about some of the things that are already coming into play. So we're asking, like, what are your forecasts in this aspect?
Right. Okay. Thank you. I'll get to that shortly, but I also just want to touch on something you were talking about, because I had the thoughts on that. And it's about how you said all of these technologies are still connected to each other, even though they're in different realms. And I think like what we're seeing is uh, we're seeing the emergence of like new technology culture. And I'll explain what I mean by new tech culture. If you think about like the web, for instance, because this is something that we all interact with every day, the internet, like you think about like the early stages of the internet when it was like static pages, you just had like dial-up. Basically, people went to the web to look for people's phone numbers or addresses and things like that, right? And then a couple of years later, computers became faster, more powerful. Video games became faster, more powerful. The entire media landscape evolved, right? And then we had, native media on the internet. You could now look at pictures. And now, if you look at 20 years down the line, the internet has evolved so much that we're able to have this conversation on a computer, in a platform, on a web interface, and we think of it as normal because that is, essentially where we have evolved to. And I think that with emerging technology, it's still emerging because we're still at the very fringe of this, right? We're at the beginning stages of when the web was just introduced. And I think we're going to ditch the term entirely, and this will just be our day-to-day, right? So the companies will become communities, right? Our entertainment will be in virtual spaces and in the metaverse, right? We're going to have marketplaces powered by blockchain, and it will just be normal. We will look at this as, some distant past. So this is just my personal like overview. It's more of like a utopia if you think of it, but I think like we're at the beginning of maybe a 2-3 decade run of, complete science fiction. But anyway, that being said, so to start answering the question, how this could really set you apart from traditional marketing techniques is, I think, just heightened levels of interaction, right? Right now, if I love a brand or if I love a personality and this personality has created space for me online, I'm able to become that person. Like, for instance, there are games like in Fortnite right now, you can buy these skins of creators that you love. You can buy like a Mr. Beast pack and play as him. People who love that person very much feel like, they're so much into that story that they're literally dressed as that character. And I think it gives brands, and when I say brands, I just don't mean like the big brands or like the powerful mainstream brands. Everybody is literally a brand at this point because you have all the resources, to blow up. And I refer to them as like obviously creator brands, but they can also build communities around themselves and power them with like content, like virtual content, but also like tokenized content and things like that. So I would say it gives people new ways to visualize their product, right? So extending intellectual property. I have this pen as a physical object, but like my customers can buy this pen and then in turn they're going to receive a NFT version of this pen, or they receive a notepad where they can write their journals online. So these are some of the things we can do. Brands have more opportunities to extend the life cycle of whatever it is that they're pushing outside, whatever their story is. And as the platforms continue to emerge, I think these things will continue to increase as well. I think another interesting thing is just the idea of um, being able to replicate what you have in the physical world on a virtual landscape, right? With no limits, right? You're able to do whatever you want to do in terms of like building your intellectual property to the next stage. You're also able to make more money off of it because like Brian has been talking about, like the blockchain is essentially the new financial markets of the world, right? There's so much financial value that's transacting on a daily basis, huge volumes, you wouldn't believe it. And what we see is a lot of brands scrambling to have some space there, right? Such that obviously their customers can also engage with them and they can get rewards, which is, I guess, my final thing I want to say about this. Because up until now, a lot of times the relationships have been one way, right? Where, the audience is basically just consuming from the brand. You're paying money to engage with the brand, either by buying a product or service or subscription or whatever, you're giving your attention because you're spending your time to watch, consume, whatever it is you might be doing. Up until now, the relationship has been strained. It's been difficult to reward customers and fans. But I think right now we have all of the technology that makes it possible to reward your loyal customers, whether that's by dropping them tokens, like Brian said, or by giving them intellectual property ownership through tokens, because like you can essentially have somebody invest in a brand and get a micro percentage of it like a stock, but it will be a token as an NFT or something like that. And as the brand grows, that grows bigger. I'll give an example of something we did just to push some context. It was for a music artist, Benson, and this was last year. And essentially what we've been able to do with him is like we've replicated his music career in the virtual space, right? So we started with NFTs in the very beginning in 2021, and we got about 6,000 of his loyal fans to buy into a PFP. The PFP is similar to Brian's one. It's basically a head of Buju, or Benson, as the artist is called. And what we've been able to do with that over time is give rewards to these loyal holders, right? So for instance, they get like special shout out messages on their birthday from one of their favorite celebrities. They get access to his shows for free. So all of his headline shows since 2021 up until now, you have that NFT. It gives you access as a ticket. You get exclusive invitations to launches, branches, and things like that. And you have him in the community with you. So Buju will come and text you, he will type to you. And this is something that's not possible for anybody who's not a holder of that token. So that's just for a music artist, right? We've been able to like loop his releases, his new videos, all of the things that he's done in his music since then, and giving them as special packages to his fans. So that's just with music, but imagine what you can do as a brand, as a business, as a community, or as a creator. So as we continue to see new ways to represent ourselves, represent our stories in new spaces, I think with technologies like the blockchain, with technologies like social finance, will be able to extract actual financial value from it and reward people as well. So there's a lot I can say, or maybe like virtual
Definitely,
try-ons.
yeah. I'm actually smiling here because I'm trying to chat Mr. Tosin. I'm like, we should have made this a master class because Mr. Bian and Mr. Yabusa are giving us a lot in just 60 minutes, right? It's quite a lot. I've been with my jotter trying to jot everything down, but it's amazing. Thank you so much. And that's why the show is here to give us kind of insight, right, into the field we're talking about. All right, so thank you so much. And I totally agree with what you said, Mr. Yobusa, right? You spoke about understanding the space, right? And I really love the case study of the evolution of the internet you gave to us, how it was all manual and now it was like mono, and then all of a sudden we're talking live. This is another real case study, right? And we can just but imagine how extended reality AI is going to be in a few years from now. So thank you. And yeah, we've already started seeing the evolution of the market space with the NFTs, just like how you said, right? So amazing, amazing. And congratulations on the amazing feats you're doing with Float XR once more. 6,000. Wow, that's amazing, fantastic. So without further ado, I'm trying to go in rush mode now because we're trying to get everything into
Brian, please confirm that you get that question. Do you get a question?
Sorry. You made a question? I thought she got lag.
Okay, can I repeat the question now? Should I repeat it?
Yeah.
Okay, as the one MPOs, a community deeply involved in advocating for blockchain adoption, how do you envision the role of emerging technologies like blockchain in fostering creativity and innovation, with especially in reaching diverse global audiences? So I want to emphasize that global diverse.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Thanks. Thanks for repeating the question. For diverse audiences, it means not only like geographic, you mean, right? So, well, we have in consideration everything of that, especially we started in Peru, then we moved to different countries about Latin America, and we find that some of solutions that we have work for countries that suffer the same things. So like it happened with Colombia, with Mexico, with Honduras, and Argentina. So what we are doing also is have be conscious about the gender equality or the gap, because in this kind of markets, it's very difficult to see like women representant, and how we are working to contribute to solutions for that. It's empowering different female communities. We have been incubating some different communities. One of them was Crypto Curiosas. Crypto Curiosas was mentioned in Bloomberg. So no, yeah, that was mentioned there and was really good because it was a small group of female enthusiasts of crypto that liked it to learn, but didn't have an own community or own space to understand better these technologies. You know, it's different. You have to recognize the different kind of users. There are enthusiasts that could be on every country, but there are also maybe more nerds or maybe more investors, degenerates, for say something in crypto works like that. But in the way of gender, like women, are with a soft approach that it's different. That men, we really can't understand how to communicate to them. So the best way where they feel identified is to have women representant to follow like a model or something like that. So we saw that and we try to help them as mentoring at the beginning, and also to connect with other women in this industry, but that were like far, just really high part of this industry. Maybe they could reach, but it will take so many years probably. So we used our connections to put them like a bridge, and that's how they start to get more connections, more knowledge, and start to empower themselves because they have a really good examples. That was a way to have more diverse audiences, at least for gender, and also for countries who was like have a ambassador or representative on every country that we think that have the same solutions for it. So that's how we did it on 21 Bulls. And on Metapool, we have ambassadors in almost 20 countries and on 7 different languages. So that's how we empower this ambassador. We think that the way you can grow is to make someone grow. It's like, it's not just about your brand, but it's also about the person. If this person that you are connected grows and starts to maybe have places where talk, where be recognized, where be KOL, it's the best for your brand. Honestly, our brand started really like tiny, but it really got a lot of KOLs, like even influencers. And that's how the brand start to get recognized without even marketing their own brand. Honestly, we think on 21 Bulls that it's different to Metapool. In 21 Bulls, it's more like discretion. You know, it's like we are not inviting everyone, but the person that we invite, it's really quality, and we commit ourselves with those persons. And that's why we always prefer to mentor different groups that have all the people from different groups, because every group has diverse identities, diverse ways to communicate, and what is our problem to solve. Maybe in this case is just mentorship and connect them to other peoples that can give them value. And that's how some people say ourselves as social venture. So that's how it's managing in 21 Bulls. And also right now, lately this year, started to educational programs that are funded by us and are for free. That's our way to impact people. And these communities that were part of us are now impacting on different countries, even Brazil, even El Salvador, and many others. And that approach started with us. And that's what I really like. And even if we want mass, we can just connect with these people that we having mentoring. But we don't want numbers in 21 Bulls. It's more about the mission. But Metapool, it's different. We want to expand all the world. And for doing that, we are doing with our ambassadors. And our ambassadors are the specialists in the region. The way that we can talk to Nigeria or to Vietnam or Philippines, it's with a local. There's no other way. We can't assume that we know the country. We will not probably, even if we go there. And that's how we empower these national leaders, and we try to give them their content in their own languages. Even we try to say to them, use the phrases or words that you are more comfortable. Don't be so serious. So the people that you talk like a friend. Just follow some simple rules, you know, that every brand has something to communicate and something that cannot communicate. So that's the only thing that it's a border. But beside of that, that's how we reach from 10 million TBL, that is total value locked. It's similar to stocks. When we started, to more than 100 TBL in less than a year. That's our growth since the last year. And I think that's a really good approach that making people part of your group and helping them to grow. That's our way to get more audience.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. Thank you. It's so nice hearing from you and Yobosa this evening. And one thing I'm taking home from what you both have said is the fact that while discussing about this last question, you have made mention about localization. To assess everywhere around the globe, there is a need for us to actually create ideas or solutions that resonate with our audience. That is the people we are dealing with. And you talk about ambassadors, you talk about gender equality and all, and that's so appreciative. And I so want to appreciate Yobusa for all of those things he shared around what they're doing with their work. So this section is a very enlightening one for us, even for us who are the host of this session, and also to our audience across the globe. And so we are looking forward to more conversation, even during the conference of the MarkHack. That there's still a lot of activities that will be going on, that will be happening even as time goes on. And we are looking forward to having some other sessions with you. We know we cannot exhaust all of those things that we have for this session. And so I want to say a big shout out to you, to Yobosa and to Brian. Thank you for this session. It's so enlightening. I have learned a lot this evening, listening to both of you, sharing what you are building, what you are doing. And I have actually picked that point where you talked about the localization, which is something that's talked, which is something you have mentioned. I also picked the part where both of you shared the aspect of independency, people having to take ownership of what they are doing and all. And so I want to say big shout out to Antonia, who is our co-host for this session. It's so great hosting this session with you. And to our audience across the globe, you can register for MarkHack by using the link that has been shared by our communications manager. And see you during this time next week for the next session. So thank you so much, Brian. Thank you, Yobuse. I am so thankful for having you on the session today. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Oluwatosin and Antonia. It was also nice to meet you, Brian. And to everyone who tuned in, thank you for sharing the time with us.
You. Goodbye. Goodbye for now. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It was a pleasure and really glad to be here. So have a nice day.